Bible study. One of the reasons why I chose the book of Ruth is because the book of Ruth talks about an ordinary woman that God blesses. And if you just think about her earlier life, she was just an ordinary woman. She didn't believe in the God that we believed in. She believed in something totally, completely different. So if you think that that you can't get blessed, or you think um, that something cannot happen just because of your past, has nothing to do with that. He's looking to bless just ordinary people. So I'm gonna go into Ruth 1 through 5. The book begins with a famine in Bethlehem during the terrible time described at the end of the book of Judges. Naomi's husband and their 2 sons, they were in enemy territory in Moab. The sons married 2 women, Orpah and Ruth. And then Naomi's husband and both of her sons died in this chapter. So one of the things that you want to remember in this chapter is that these were women that, like I say, they didn't believe in God. They believed in something totally different. They married into a family that believes in God, and they married into a family that the mother was a woman of God. So then you goes into, so we're gonna go into Ruth 1:6 through 18. Second. Okay. On in the 6th verse. One day she got herself together, she and her 2 daughters-in-law, to leave the country of Moab and set out for home. She had heard that God had been pleased to visit his people and give them food. In 7. And so she started out from the place she had been living, she and her 2 daughter-in-law, on the road back to the land of Judah. After a short while on the road, after only a short while, Naomi told her 2 daughter-in-law, "Go back, go home to live with your mothers, and may God treat you graciously as you treated your deceased husbands and me." So as she's traveling on this road, I don't know if she was tired. Pretty sure they didn't have any cars back then. So as she's traveling on this road, she's telling them like, "Hey, you know, something probably deemed on her like, look, this is going to be too much for you all. You all need to go back home to your people, be with your people. This is going to be too much." So then you go on to 12. She says, "Go back, dear daughters, on your way, please. I'm too old to get a husband. Why, even if I said there's still hope, and this very night got a man and had sons. Can you imagine being satisfied to wait until they were grown? Would you wait that long to get married again? No, dear daughters, this is a bitter pill for me to swallow. More bitter for me than for you. God has dealt me a hard blow." So Naomi, she's pretty much feeling bad for herself. She's saying, "Listen, I don't have anything to give you. Both of my sons are deceased. My husband is deceased as well. I have nothing to offer you." She's pretty much telling them like, "Listen, I ain't got nothing to offer you. Go back to your people. Even if I had a son, let's just say she was in her mid-80s or 90s or so. Even if I had a son, I'm too old. So even if I had a son, by the time, are you gonna wait till he's of age, till he's 18 or 17, just to remarry again?" She's telling them, "Look, this is a hard pill to swallow." She's telling them that, "Hey, I'm mourning. I don't have anything to offer you. I just lost a husband. I just lost 2 sons." Okay. But then in 16, but Ruth said, "Don't force me to leave. Don't make me go home. Where you go, I go. Where you live, I live. Your people are my people. Your God is my God." So even though Ruth grew up believing with her parents, believing that their God was the right God, she had been married to Naomi's son for 10 years. So in this 10-year span, she was taught their ways. She was taught how to believe. She was taught how to pray. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was taught in this time frame how to have faith. What a faithful woman of God looks like. She was taught this in this time frame. So even though, from her childhood to her adulthood, she was taught something different by her parents, but she's telling her, like, look, I see something in you that, that you probably don't even see. She's telling her. In 17, it says, where you die, I die. And that's where I be buried. So help me God. Not even death itself is going to come in between us. When Naomi saw Ruth had her heart set on going with her, she gave in. So she gave up. She was like, okay, you want to come with me? Come on. It ain't no big deal. I ain't got nothing to offer you. So you want to come? You go ahead and come. Orpah returned to her Moabite home as Naomi instructed her, but Ruth swears loyalty to Naomi and follows her home to Bethlehem. Okay, so Orpah, she's like, look, I already know. The lady already said she ain't got no more sons. She ain't got nothing to offer me. I'm finna go back home to my people. You know what I'm saying? And if we want to be honest and if we want to be real, I probably would have been Orpah at that particular time, because I'm like, she ain't got nothing to offer me. All her sons are dead. She ain't mentioned nothing about no brothers. She ain't mentioned nothing about no uncles. I'm finna go back to my hometown, to Atlanta, wherever. I'm gonna go back to my hometown. I'm gonna go where my people at, because I'm legit. I know my people gonna take care of me. This lady ain't got nothing to offer. She ain't got no money. She ain't got no food. She ain't got nothing to offer me. So I'm gonna go back home, because I mean, in reality, my mama, she would have said, Keoshia, you need to come on home. You don't even really know them people like that. You don't even know them. So you gotta be mighty careful of what you tell your plans. So sometimes people would deter you and distract you from the path that you're supposed to go. My mom would have said, baby, you need to come on home with family at. Them ain't even your people. Okay, so then Naomi, she's not even when you go into Ruth 2, 1 through 23, when you go into this text of the Bible, Naomi, hold on, not this one, hold on just one second, that's the wrong one. Ruth 9 through 22. So Naomi, she is the one through 1:19 through 22. So when the women of Bethlehem hardly recognized Naomi, because she had been gone for years. So they were like, who is that? So so they hardly recognized her. And so she's so mad, she's so distraught at what she felt like she had returned home empty. She felt like she left she left she left unmarried. She returned unmarried. She returned without any money. She returned without any kids. She felt like she had returned with nothing. She was so pissed off. She told them, listen, don't even call me. What did she tell them? She said, listen, Naomi tells them, don't even call me Naomi, call me Mara. She's telling them, hey, listen, I'm not even worthy of the name that that y'all know me by. I ain't got nothing. Call me Mara. Call me something else. Because when I left here, I had everything. I'm coming back. I don't have a pot to piss in. I don't have nothing. So call me the name that I don't even, a name that she probably just thought of, at the top of her head. Call me Mara. I don't even deserve to be called Naomi. Call me Mara. And then we're going to go into Ruth 2 through 23. But I'm going to go back and talk about Orpah, because I'm going to say this. Sometimes you got to be, what is it I want to say? Sometimes you have to, through your walk with Christ, everybody cannot go with you. Everybody, it's not meant for everybody to travel the same path as you. Everybody cannot go down the road with you. It's not meant for, amen. She was bitter. Yes, exactly, Hannah. She was bitter. So, I'm going to say that everybody's not meant to travel the same path with you. Her path was a little bit different than Ruth's path. But, who's to say, just because she rushed it home and because she didn't want to wait, who's to say it wasn't something waiting for her, waiting for her if she would have followed behind Ruth. A lot of time, us as Christians, we think that we have to be the forefront and think that we have to be, in the front every time. But sometimes it's meant for us to just follow somebody else. It's meant for us to, follow them if God tells us to follow them. But even sometimes if God tells us to follow somebody, you like, God, why I gotta follow her? She don't even know what she's talking about. Or God, why, you ask so many questions, but when God told Ruth to follow Naomi, she did not question God. She told Naomi, listen, your people are gonna be my people. When you die, I'ma die wherever you die. I'm gonna go wherever you go. I'm gonna, pretty much saying that she's gonna be her rider. She's gonna be there right beside her. She's gonna be loyal to Naomi. You're gonna be loyal to Naomi. And then it goes into, she's like, so Naomi, like I said, she pretty much gave up. She like, listen, if you want to come, child, if you want to come on, Ruth, I already told you I ain't got nothing for you to offer. But if you want to come, just, oh my God, Lord, just let the child come on. Let the child come on. So we're gonna go into Ruth 2, 1 through 23. This is when she meets Boaz. She meets Boaz in these chapters. So just 1 second. Yeah, she meets Boaz. Okay, so in Ruth 2, so now Naomi has a relative on her husband's side, a man of standing from a clan, Elamite, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth, the Moabite, said to Naomi, let me go to the field and pick up the leftover grain behind anyone whose eyes I find favor. Naomi said to her, go ahead, my daughter. So she went out, entered a field, and began to glean behind the harvesters. As it turned out, she was working in a field belonging to Boaz, who was from the clan of Elamite. So let me tell you something. So this is where, she's working. I'm gonna be honest. If I'm working, in the past, this is past, Keoshia, so don't judge me. So in the past, if I had been working on a job, I'm not gonna pick up after nobody leftover. That's why you have to humble yourself. I'm gonna be like, what they got going on? How much do they pay? What the benefits is. Before I work, I want to know what the benefits is. What's the 401k looking like? What's the hourly pay looking like? But Ruth, she didn't care. She didn't care about how much she was getting paid. She didn't care about no 401k. She didn't care about no benefits. She didn't care about no vacation days. She just worked it. And all she wanted to do, catch the key word. So she went out, entered a field, and began to glean behind the harvesters, meaning that it was already somebody out there working. So she's pretty much just catching the crumb behind the people that's already working. So the stuff that they not catching, she gonna catch. As it turned out, she was working in the field that belonged to Boaz, who was from the clan of Elamite. So I'm gonna tell you something. So she's working, and guess what she's doing? She's not on no job gossiping. She's not on no job worrying about, oh my God, like why they not picking up everything and I'm over here working harder than anybody else. She's not worrying about that at this time, because what she was taught from Naomi and what Naomi had on show her as a Christian woman, be about your father's business. As long as you are about your father's business, everything else will fall in place. So that's pretty much what she was doing. She's worrying about her father's business. She's in the field working. She's not looking to the right. She's not looking to the left. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the leftovers. That's pretty much what she's saying. And then just 1 second. Okay, just 1 second. So then in 2 and 4, it says, just then Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted the harvester. The Lord be with you. The Lord bless you. They answered. Boaz asked the overseer of his harvesters, who does that woman belong to? So guess what? She didn't even have to approach him. She didn't even have to come up and say, hey, most of us will be on the job working. You be like, look, hey, my name is Keoshia. I just started. I'm gonna work hard for you. You know, that's how I do. I'm gonna, that's how I did in the past. I'm gonna work hard for you. I'm a very dependable worker. She didn't even approach him. She didn't do any of that. He saw her before she saw him. The overseer replied, she is the Moabite who came back from Moab with Naomi. She said, please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the harvester. She came into the field and has remained here from morning to now, except for the short rest in the shelter. So she came, she ain't took no water break. She ain't did nothing. All she wanted to do was work. Her work was pretty much speaking for itself. She was working. He saw the hustle in her. He saw the grind in her ASAP. He saw all of that in her, and he took notice. So then in 8, it says, so Boaz said to Ruth, my daughter, listen to me. Don't go and glean in another field, and don't go away from here. Stay here with the women who work for me. Watch the field where the men are harvesting and follow along after the women. I have told the men not to lay a hand on you, and whenever you are thirsty, go and get a drink from the the jars that the men have filled. So he pretty much, y'all don't even hear what it's saying. Y'all don't even hear what it's saying. It's saying that he told her, hold on, she said she can't hear. Can y'all hear me?
We can.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Okay, so because I saw somebody said they couldn't hear. Okay, so listen. So he's telling her, look, he saw favor in her. Look, don't go in nobody else field and work. Just work in my field. This is the first day he's meeting her. So he has already saw something in her that he likes. He has already gravitated towards her and like, oh my God, I like what I see. I like Ruth. I like something in her. She's a hard worker. She's not being messy. She's not looking to the right. She's not looking to the left. She is focused on working. That's all she's focused on. She is focused on her father's business. And then it says, stay here with the women. And then he also said, he didn't even, how many other women, she was focused. How many other women did he say, go drink from the jars that the men have filled? Ain't no telling what the other women were taking a break at. But he told her, look, Ruth, I see something in you. You ain't even got a drink from the jar that the women are drinking from. Go over there and get a drink from where the men are drinking from. Go get the water from their hard work. Don't even worry about the little dirty water that the women are drinking. This is where I want you to drink from. And then in 11, it says, Boaz replied, I've been told all about what you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother and your homeland, came to live with the people you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord of God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. You don't have to brag. My grandma used to always say, a dog ain't got to brag on his own bone. She didn't have to go there and tell her story. He said, I've been told all about you. He was already told about her. You don't have to tell a man, it's been times I don't got a nasty man. I be like, you know what? I'm a good woman. I'm this, I'm that, I'm loyal, I'm good. I'm a hardworking woman. You don't have to tell a good man how good you are. Not a good man. You gotta state your case to a bad man, but a good man, you don't have to tell him how good you are. You don't have to tell him about your good duties. You don't have to tell him about, about the things that you have done. He's gonna see it. He don't have to know about, what you did for the last joker. He don't have to know about what you did for your last husband. He don't have to know what you did on your last job, because guess what? A good man, a mighty man, a Boaz and not a Jack, he gonna already see it. So don't even worry about it. In 13, it says, may I continue to find favor in your eyes, my Lord. She said, you have put me at ease by speaking kindly to your servant. though I do not have the standing of one of your servants. And then 14, at the meantime, Boaz said to her, come over here, have some bread and dip it in the wine and the vinegar. Oh my God. Do y'all not see? Oh my God. Do y'all not see that? Do you? Oh my God. He told her, come over here. Come over here, girl. Get some of this bread and dip it in the wine. It didn't say, y'all come over here. He told Ruth, come over here. Get some of this bread and dip it in the wine. When she sat down with the harvester, he offered her some roasted grain. She ate all that she wanted and had some left over. As she got up to glean, Boaz gave orders to his men. Let her gather among the sheaves and don't reprime her. Even pull out some stock for her from the bundles and leaves them for her to pick, and don't rebuke her. He telling them, don't fool with her. Just let her do what she pretty much, baby, let Ruth do what she want to do. That's Ruth. Ruth just got here. She ain't even been on the job 90 days. She ain't even passed 90 days probation. But we're gonna go ahead and let Ruth do what she want to do. Then Ruth told her mother-in-law about the one at whose place she had been working. The name of the man I worked with today. Oh my God. Y'all not catching it. The name of the man, she ain't been there 90 days. She ain't been there 30 days. She ain't even been there 60 days. The name of the man I worked it with today. So, baby, she don't got a promotion all in one day. This is a 24-hour time frame. She don't got a promotion. She don't got a raise because he don't gave her wine and bread. Y'all not listening. Okay, in 20, it says, the Lord bless him. Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, he has not stopped showing his kindness to the living and the dead, she added. The man is our close relative. He is one of our guardian redeemers. Then Ruth, the Moabite, said, he even said to me, stay with my workers until they finish harvesting all my grain. Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it will be good for you, my daughter, to go with the women who work for him, because in someone else's field, you might be harmed. So she's telling her, God don't show favor upon you. You need to stay where he put you at, because in somebody else's field, you might not see that much favor. So Ruth stayed close to the women of Boaz to glean until the barley and the wheat harvest were finished, and she lived with her mother-in-law. So then she lived. Okay, so just 1 second. So then you go into Ruth 3, 1 through 15. It says, okay, so Naomi, this is just pretty much a breakdown. So Naomi, she depends on seeing Ruth as a relative in need. Naomi sends Ruth to meet Boaz secretly on the threshing floor where the men gathered to separate the good grains from the useless craft. Boaz recognizes that Ruth's action in line beside him is an act of kindness and loyalty. He assures her that even though there is a closer relative who might claim her, he will make certain that everything will turn out well. So when Boaz, I'm just gonna break it down. So when Boaz, he's telling her, look, it's a closer relative that that's closer to me, because back in the Jews, they believe that that if somebody died, that their closer relative can marry their widow, marry their wife. Okay, so he's telling her, look, it's a closer relative. So he goes, Boaz goes to this closer relative. He pretty much like, look, Ruth, I'm gonna offer you land. I'm gonna offer you some things to take her, because she's worthy for you to take. That's what he's telling her. He's not advocating for no other women in his field but Ruth. Just 1 second. Yeah, so he's not he's not advocating for no other woman in his field but Ruth. He's pretty much, he's told the relative, look, listen, I'm gonna offer you some land, but the relative like, listen, my plate is already full, I can't take her. So then what happens, So Boaz, like I say, Boaz goes to the gates in Ruth 4:1-12. He goes to the gate to meet with the town elder. He tempts the unnamed next of kin. They never said who the next of kin was, with the offer of property, and then declares that marrying the Moabite Ruth is part of the bargain. So he's telling him, like, listen, if you marry her, I'm going to give you land. The next of kin refuses the arrangement, so Boaz claims Ruth, whom the woman then blesses. Just 1 second. So he claims Ruth for himself. He claims Ruth, like, listen, okay, second. And then said, and I thought to advertise thee in 4:4, Ruth 4:4, but buy it before the neighbors and before the elders of my people. If thou wilt redeem it, but thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me that I may know, for there is none to redeem besides thee, and I am after thee. He said, I will redeem it. Then Boaz said, what day thou buyest the field of the land of the hand of Naomi, thou must buy it also, Ruth of the Moabites, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. And the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I marry my own inheritance. Redeem thy rights to thyself, for I cannot redeem it. So he's pretty much saying, I can't marry her. I can't marry her. And then so in 9 it says, and then Boaz said, he pretty much, and then to be honest, Boaz knew the laws of the people. So that's pretty much why he approached the elders, because he didn't want anybody saying, well, you know what, Boaz didn't go through the proper channels. He knew the elder, he pretty much approached him in an audience so that nobody can say that, hey, he didn't have proper claim to Ruth. So then in 4:9, and Boaz said unto the elders, unto all the people, ye are witness this day that I have brought all that was offered and that was Chilion and Moab of the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabites, the wife, had I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from the among his bereavement, for the gate of his place. Ye are witness this day. So he pretty much telling them, hey, y'all come witness. Y'all come witness. He already know what kind of worker Ruth is. He already know what kind of woman she is. He already know what she brings to the table. He already know everything. So then Boaz marries, and then in 4:13-16, Boaz married Ruth, who then gives birth to Obed. Naomi takes the child to her bosom. The women proclaim that Ruth loves for Naomi makes the child worthy. You catch that? So everybody was a witness to how she was caring for this lady, how she, would bring back the grain, how she, saw how she would, because how many women, you got to be honest with yourself, how many women would, your husband's deceased, you're going to take care of his mother. She didn't have no land. She didn't have nothing. She, the type of woman that she was, even though Naomi led her to that town and led her to that city, even though she led her there, she still took care of her. Let's just be honest. She still took care of her. She fed her. She brought home food. She brought home everything. And the people around the town, they like, listen, this child, even though this child is from your second marriage, even though, this child is worthy. And a lot of times, we will meet a man and we try to put ourselves on a pedestal and make it seem like we ain't never done nothing, or we ain't never been through nothing, or we ain't, or we ain't never had no issues, that we just woke up like this. A lot of times we'll try to build ourselves up for a man. And even with Boaz, he's, if you think about the love stories and the, the greatest love stories ever told, Ruth and Boaz's name is going to come up somewhere in the equation. But he never judged her. He didn't care about her past. He didn't care that she came from a family that didn't believe in God. He saw her for her. He saw her for her. You might have to pretend like you are somebody for the wrong man, but for Boaz, you don't have to pretend. He's gonna, see that your past, and he's gonna be like, what, although I see her past, he saw something greater in her future. He saw something that she didn't even see. He saw her for who she was supposed to be, not for who she used to be. So when you're meeting these men, and if somebody say, well, you know what, I can't date you because you got 5 kids, or I can't date you because you've been married before, because she was a widow. She had been married before. I can't marry you because you already been with somebody else. You're not a virgin or whatever, whatever. I can't marry you because you're living on Section 8, or you living on EBT, or you living from check to check. I can't marry you because of this, or I can't be with you because of this. It's okay, because guess what? It's gonna come a Boaz, and he's not gonna care about how many men you don't been with. He ain't gonna care about how many kids you got. He ain't gonna care about the last man that you had, or the last joker that you was with. He ain't gonna care that your credit score 460. He's gonna see you for you. He's gonna see you for you. He's gonna come into the picture. He's gonna come into the picture and say, you know what? I see Brianna over there. I see her working in the fields. I see her working hard. This is somebody I want on my team. But in order for you to get to Boaz, you have to stay the course. It's so easy to give up, like Orpah. She gave up immediately. As soon as times got hard, she said, She didn't even give it a day to see, she didn't give it 24 hours to say, okay, well, let me just see where they finna go. Let me just see what they got going on. She gave up immediately. And do you know how many times her name was mentioned in the Bible? Twice. Her name was mentioned twice. We ain't heard nothing else from Orpah. We don't know if she got married. We don't know nothing. She didn't, the Bible didn't even talk about if Boaz had a brother. How she know Boaz didn't have a brother? How she know that he didn't have a homeboy that she could have talked to, that was a provider just like him? She didn't know. She gave up. So she would have never, if she would have stayed the course and followed that woman of God, versus going back to people that she know that didn't even believe in God. If she would have stayed the course and followed that woman of God, she probably would have had, her a good husband. Probably would have been able, were he able to see her in the field. You never know. That's why you have to hold fast, pray, stay the course, be about your Father's business, stay the course, believe in God. That's why us as Christians, and I don't say this lightly, us as Christians, we have to be careful of what people see in us, because it's somebody watching and looking to follow us. We have to be careful of what we represent when we call ourselves women of God. We have to be careful of what we show people, because guess what? It's somebody that's lost. Like Ruth, she was lost. She was believing in something that wasn't even supposed to believe in. And I'm gonna tell you something. It's somebody in your life that's lost. It's somebody, on your job that's lost. It's somebody in your vicinity that's lost and that needs to be led. But guess what? They're looking at you like, oh my God, like every time I see Hannah, she's reading her Bible. Let me just sit back and watch her. You never know who's watching you. So you have to carry yourself as women of God. We have to start carrying ourselves as women of God. Time out for being all catty, messy. He said, she said. We have to watch what we say out of our mouths. Watch what we say. Watch what we do. Watch what we carry ourselves. Watch the way our kids, watch what we give to our kids. Watch what we're teaching our kids, because guess what? Somebody is watching. Somebody's always watching. Somebody that needs to be led. And the first thing that you say something wrong, the first thing they're gonna say, well, you know what? I thought she was a woman of God. maybe this God thing ain't what I thought it was. So you have to be careful. He wants us to lead women. Believe it or not, I believe that God is, leading up a nation of women. He wants us to be able to lead more women closer to him. And the way that we lead more women closer to him, watching what we're doing, watching what we're saying. Naomi, even in the text, Ruth had been around her family. It doesn't say if she was in her early 20s or whatever. It doesn't say, but she had been around the family that she was birthed with for years, for like 20 so years or so, or 30 some years. So this is what she had been taught since birth. But the spirit told her, like, listen, what you were taught was wrong. The way that Naomi is raising and the way that she is, this is right. This is of God. This is of the spirit. So she followed the spirit. She didn't follow man. She didn't follow the flesh, because guess what? Orpah, she followed the flesh. She followed what was familiar to her. Sometimes we have to come up out of what's familiar to us and sometimes go into a place that's uncomfortable. She could have went back home to her mama where she knew she had a bed. She could have went back home to her mama and daddy where she knew the lights were on. She could have went back home to her mama and daddy where she knew she had food. But because she had faith, and because she went on a path that wasn't familiar to her, and a path that wasn't what she was used to, and a path of what she wasn't taught, and a path that was different than what than probably what anybody else has a path that was different. She was able to get blessed. She was able to get blessed. She was able to she was able to see her blessing. She was able to be blessed tremendously. Because if you think about it, the husband that she had before, he was staying at home. All of them staying under one roof. They were staying. It never said that. It said it never said that her husband, Ruth's original husband, it never said Ruth had her own home. She didn't have any kids. Sometimes when God removes something, I'm a witness to this. Sometimes when God removes something, he will bless you with something better. Bless you with something of, anytime he removes something, he's gonna bless you with something that's gonna replace what you had even better. Like I said, I'm a witness to that. I've been married twice. I'm on my second marriage now. So I'm here to tell you that even when you think like, okay, my God, like, God, my husband just left me for another woman or whatever. Maybe it was meant for that joker to leave you, and maybe it was meant for you to learn that lesson from him, just so that you can, push you on a path to the better husband, to the, unto a husband that can provide for you. It never said, unless I missed something, it never said that that Ruth's husband had his own land or anything like that, but Boaz did. So he not only, but it didn't say that he wasn't a good husband, but he just wasn't like Boaz. Boaz was a good man. I'm just telling you, he just was a good man. So whenever you think that, you too good to follow behind somebody else, or whenever you think that, like, what, I don't want to follow that person, think about Ruth. Think about Ruth. She followed behind somebody that didn't have anything. But because she knew that this was a faithful woman of God, because she knew that this was a faithful servant, she said, listen, my people don't believe. Sometimes people will judge you by the fruit that you bear. So her fruit that she was bearing, the fruit that she was showing Ruth, was the fruit that Ruth wanted to produce herself. So the type of woman that she saw, she wanted to be that herself. She saw something in Naomi that she didn't even see in her own mother. And I'm just being honest with you. So sometimes you have to just be careful of what God is showing you, what the path that he wants you to go in. It ain't meant for all of us to lead. Sometimes it's meant for us to follow behind somebody. Sometimes it's meant for us to play the back seat. And when it's time for us to come to the forefront, we're going to come to the forefront. It ain't meant for all of us to be business owners. Sometimes it meant for us to just to braid the hair in the background. Sometimes it's meant for us to just, sweep the floor at McDonald's or whatever is meant for us to do. Sometimes he is putting you in the background to humble you. He put her in the field to humble her. And in 24 hours, in less than 24 hours, she was promoted. Somebody seen something in her. People that had been in that field for years, people that had been in that field for months, weeks, already passed the 90-day probation, whatever. People that had been in that field, this man saw something in her that he didn't even see in the workers that he had been training for years or months or whatever. So she went past the 90-day probation. So when somebody tells you something like, hey, you can't have this, you just got here, you ain't even been on the job 90 days, this promotion, you got to be here a year before you get this promotion. Think about Ruth. Think about somebody that got promoted in 90 days. You don't have to go around telling people how good you are. You don't have to go around meeting men and telling them, like, you know what, I'm a good woman. I'm a provider. I cook, I clean. I do everything. Everything about me is good. You don't have to broadcast what you do, because guess what? Your time is coming. When the right man comes, he's going to see you before you see him. The Bible said, he who finds a wife, not she who finds a wife, he who finds a wife, he who finds a wife, he's going to see you. He's going to find you. So you don't have to go looking for Boaz. Boaz gonna find you, and he's gonna find you being your authentic self. You don't have to go. I remember years ago, I was like, dang, my butt flat. I gotta go get me a BBL. Everybody in the city got a BBL. Let me go get one just so I can have a little pump. But guess what? You don't have to do all of that, because guess what? Your authentic self, he's gonna send somebody to love you just for you. Somebody that's gonna love Dunn for her. Somebody that's gonna love Annie, Amber Jones, somebody that's gonna love Amanda for herself. Boaz is gonna see through everything. He's like, you know what? Oh my God, there go Lakeisha. She's a hard worker. I see what she doing. And then you know what? He was watching her from a distance. So it's somebody that's right now that's watching you from a distance that you don't even know, that's watching you from a distance. And he's seeing how hard you working. He's seeing what type of mother you are to your kids. He's seeing what type of provider you are before he even step into the picture. Don't no man want no lazy woman, point blank, period. He saw that she was a woman that could provide for herself. So he saw favor in her before she even saw him. He was in the background watching her. So you don't remember anything else from nothing I said. Be the background. Sometimes it ain't meant for us to be the forefront. Sometimes it's meant for us to follow and not lead. Everybody ain't meant to lead. Sometimes it's meant for us to hang out in the background until our time comes. And when our time comes, guess what? God is going to tell us when to step to the forefront. When it's Cherie turn, guess what? Don't never be a hater when it's Cherie turn. Let's go ahead and clap for her. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and clap for her. Let's go ahead and be happy for her. When it's Hannah's turn, let's go ahead and be happy for her. When it's Brianna's turn, let's go ahead and be happy for her. Because guess what? How can God bless you when you can't even be happy for the people around you, or you can't even be happy for nobody else? You got to be able to stand in the background and be able to cheer for somebody else. But guess what? Your time coming. Don't ever be a hater. You want to be the person that say, you know what? It's done time. She just got her Boaz. It's Annie time. She just got her Boaz. You got to be able to sit in the forefront, because guess what? And play the background and be about your father business. Because when you're about your father business, your time is coming. It's time for you to get that. It's time for you to get that Boaz that got his own land. It's time for you to get the Boaz that that he's gonna provide for you, and you ain't gotta be. And he's gonna make you the head and not the tail. You ain't gotta beg. You ain't gotta live paycheck to paycheck. It's gonna be somebody that's gonna be meant just for you. But when everybody else time come, be the woman that say, you know what, Ruth was a humble woman. She was the type of woman, she didn't focus on nobody else's business. She didn't get on the phone and say, you know what, girl, guess who just got divorced? Girl, oh my God. Oh, how much y'all getting paid over there on line 45? How much y'all getting paid on third shift? She didn't care about any of that. She humbled herself. She was willing to take the crumbs. She was willing to take the crumbs. She was willing to take the leftovers. How many of us are willing to take the leftovers? How many of us are meant to take what, say, well, you know what, how many of us are, are even willing, somebody say, you know what, I got some used clothes. How many of us are willing to take the used clothes? How many of us are willing to take what somebody else has left over? You got to be willing to humble yourself. She was willing to take the stuff that everybody else dropped on the ground. How many exactly? How many are are willing to take the hand-me-downs? How many are willing to take, don't ever knock the hand-me-downs, because guess what? Somebody gonna see you. Somebody gonna see you. And one day those hand-me-downs, she was willing to take the leftovers. And that man said, come over here, come over here. Let me let you dip your bread in this wine. Everybody else was drinking water. She said, come over here. Let me let you dip your bread in wine. He saw favor upon her. So one day, guess what? When you working hard, while you're focusing on God and while you're about your father business, he's gonna send your Boaz, and your Boaz gonna say, you know what, come over here. Let me let you dip your crab leg in this butter. Let me go ahead. You ain't gotta eat that chicken no more. Let me give you some crab legs. You ain't gotta eat oodles and noodles no more. Let me give you some filet mignon. Let me give you some salmon. You ain't gotta dip, you ain't gotta drink the water from Piggly Wiggly no more. I'm gonna go ahead and bless you. I'm gonna go ahead and bless you. Let me upgrade you to a final way of living. That Boaz coming to upgrade you, not downgrade you. So that's how you gonna know if it ain't Boaz. Boaz ain't willing to, take away from your household. He's coming to add to it. He's coming to add to your value. He's not coming to depreciate done. He's not coming to take away from Annie. He's coming to add to you. He's coming to add to Cherie. He's not coming to say, you know what, oh my God, like she made good money. No, he's coming to give you value. He's coming to uplift you. So anytime you think about meeting a man, think about what is he adding to you? What is he, can he handle your past? Because Boaz heard about her past, and guess what? He looked past all of that. He said, I heard about that. I heard about that. I don't care about none of that. I heard about that. I heard about your great daughters or whatever. But you know what? I'm more focused on your future. I'm more focused on your future. He had not heard about that. You understand what I'm saying? So how many men can say, you know what? I heard that she don't slept with 100 men. I still love her. I see how hard she's working. I don't care nothing about her past. I knew, just like God say, I knew you before you were formed. So when that man comes, he's coming because God is sending him to you. So God, I already know that you don't had 100, that you don't had abortions. God know that you start having sex when you were 16 or 15. God, I already know that. So when he's coming, so when he's sending that man, you ain't got to lie to him and tell him that you only slept with 2 men. You understand what I'm saying? He's sending somebody that's not going to care about, that you got 3 baby daddies. He's sending somebody that's not going to care about how many men that you don't been with. He's sending somebody that's not going to care about that you on EBT, because the moment you get with him, he's going to tell you know what, baby, don't even worry about applying for them stamps no more, because I got us. So us as women, we have to be careful about, that we're bringing Boaz into our life and not the Jack and not the other one. We got to be careful that we are bringing in a man of God, and that we're not searching for him, that he finds us. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. He saw her in the field. She didn't see him. She was so busy focused on what God had, she was so focused on what God had promised her, and what God had showed her, and what her faith was showing her. She wasn't looking around like, oh my God, girl, look at all these men. You know how we'll do. Look at all these men. These some good looking men. These some good, hard working looking men. She was focused. She was focused on working and working hard. And she was working so hard, even the overseer had like, look, this woman in your field, and then the owner took notice of her. Focus on what God has. Be about your father business, because guess what? As long as you about your father business, he's gonna send blessings. He's gonna send blessings on top of blessings. He's gonna send blessings on top of blessings. So, ladies, as we pray, say, God, listen. God, let me be about my father's business. Let me focus on you. Let me, Lord, keep your, keep a hedge over protection over me. But let me focus on over you, Lord Jesus. Let me follow on the path that you have me on. Focus on God. Don't worry about, finding on Boaz or any of that, because guess what? God is gonna, he's gonna know when you're ready. He's gonna know. He wants you to go through Steve, and so that you can learn how to, be a good woman. He wants you to go through Tim so that you can know how to cook it clean. Sometimes he'll take you through all these different jokers just so he can train you up, and just so when you find Boaz that you ain't lacking. It took Ruth 10 years to learn what she was supposed to learn from her husband. Then her husband died. It took her 10 years to learn that lesson. So sometimes he would train you up. Sometimes he would have you to be in these dead end marriages or these dead end relationships, just so when Boaz coming, you ain't lacking. So and the only thing that you have to do is get into your word. The only thing that you have to do is focus on God and have your attention on him, on God and God only. Because guess what? He's gonna send that guy. And when he send that guy, just make sure that you're in the fields working, and that you ain't caught talking about nobody else, or that you ain't caught doing something that's unpleasing to God. You got to make sure that you are a woman of God, and that when people see you, they see God in you. When Boaz seen Ruth, he didn't see Ruth as a messy woman. He didn't see Ruth as a woman that couldn't work. He seen Ruth as a hard working provider. He saw her before she seen him, and he, like I say, he promoted her in 24 hours. So we got to be careful what we are presenting to the world as women of God. We can't be out here. She wasn't out here shaking her butt. She wasn't out here twerking. She wasn't out here drinking. She wasn't out here cursing. You have to be careful what come out of your mouth, because guess what? You never know. He could be sending that man of God, and just by you saying those words that are not like God, you could be turning that man off. So this is my word tonight. I really hope and bless that you ladies were blessed. I hope y'all got something from it. And that's it. And if you all have any questions, just let me know. I'm gonna mute so Keisha can